It is the herd. Nick Wright in for Colin Cowherd. The great Mark Schlereth, my good friend, joins us in less than 15 minutes. A half hour from now, the nightmare scenario of the New England Patriots going seamlessly from 20 years of Tom Brady to 15 years of Tua Tagovailoa is closer than it's ever been, and we as a nation must do everything we can to avert it. We will talk about that in a half hour. But right now, I want to talk about a different number one overall pick, or potential number one overall pick. I guess it's former number one overall pick, Jameis Winston. So Jameis still available. He's going to go back somebody up this year. There's been some scuttlebutt in Pittsburgh the last few weeks that has seemed to gain some national steam, that he could go to the wonderful Joy Taylor's original hometown of Pittsburgh, back up Ben Roethlisberger, maybe fill in some for Ben if the elbow's not right, if his weight's not right, if he just, looks like a 38-year-old quarterback. And that makes a ton of sense for Ben and for the Steelers and for Jameis. I get it. But the team that I think could use Jameis Winston not only as a backup quarterback, but as a level setter in a negotiation is the Dallas Cowboys. And here's why. I believe the Cowboys have been negotiating in good faith. And I almost never take the team side in negotiations, but I believe they have been negotiating in good faith with Dak Prescott. Jerry Jones moved off of his adopted son, Tony Romo, for Dak Prescott. When America was criticizing Dak Prescott in 2017 for a dip in year two, Jerry blamed Commissioner Goodell for the 6-game Zeke suspension. When Dak was having his worst professional season in 2018, Jerry mortgaged a piece of the future and traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. And after the 2018 season, when Dak made the playoffs with Amari, won a playoff game, Jerry and Stephen Jones talked about Dak like he was their locked-in quarterback of the future, which is somewhat risky to do with a quarterback who is not under contract. They did it under the belief we are going to offer Dak a very substantial contract in the $100 million guaranteed, $30+ million per year, and he's going to take it. And Dak, as is his prerogative, looked at the offer going into last season and said, nope, I think I can prove I deserve more. And this year for Dak's a bit of a mixed bag. Statistically, he arguably has his best season, but from a winning perspective, he has his worst season. How do you square that circle? What do you do? And the Cowboys come back, and they offer Dak money that would pay him like he is a very, very good NFL quarterback. Not like he is a great, not like he's an MVP or a Super Bowl champion, but a very, very good NFL quarterback. The type of money Carson Wentz got when he proved he was a very, very good NFL quarterback. And Dak Prescott said, not good enough. It's not enough. And again, that's always the player's prerogative. But he's also always done it knowing I'm the Cowboys' only option. And if they were to bring in Jameis, it up the temperature on the negotiations a bit, because Jameis has some highlights that rival Dak's. The problem is his lowlights rival Nathan Peterman's. But for Dak Prescott, the issue is, where is he actually in the quarterback hierarchy, and how many pay grades above where he actually is does he expect to be paid? So I came up with a handy chart, if you will, a quarterback pyramid. I think it can be a little pedantic to rank them 1, 2, 3. So we did tiers, because I don't want to argue is a guy 6 or is he 7. So obviously in a tier by himself is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, look at it. And let's be honest, not only is he a great quarterback, that's a good-looking young man. Now, the tier right beneath, your superstars. These are the quarterbacks that, if they're on your team, you're in love with them. Russell Wilson, future Hall of Famer, superstar. Aaron Rodgers, one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. Lamar, unanimous MVP. Drew Brees holds all the records, or first or second all the records. And Deshaun, some people say I'm putting Deshaun there prematurely. Watched him at Clemson, watched him his whole career, watched Bill O'Brien try to ruin him. Deshaun belongs up there. Then there's your next tier, your franchise guys. And this one is tricky, because you're not mad if any of these guys are your quarterback. But for any of these guys to win a championship, not only do they need to be playing their best ball, but you need everything around them to be clicking. We have seen Carson Wentz look like that team can win a championship. And they probably would have, even if he didn't get hurt, because they won it with Nick Foles. But that was a year where the D-line was spectacular. The offensive line was spectacular. The secondary at least didn't hold it back the way they did last year. Matt Ryan, we've seen him take a team to the cusp of the Super Bowl when they had the 8th highest scoring offense of all time. Everything was clicking. We've now seen him regress. Kirk Cousins, we've seen him put up great numbers. We've seen him finally this year win a big game, even though, and win a playoff game even this season, and then fell flat in the next round. And then there's Stafford, who doesn't have any of the playoff success, but the counting numbers are great. And Dak's right there with them. And those are really solid quarterbacks. And if they're your quarterbacks, you don't want to move off them. But if any of those guys want to be paid like they're in the tier above, you're in trouble. And if any of those guys want to be paid like they're in Mahomes' tier, as it would appear Dak wants to. I had Kevin Clark on my radio show yesterday, and he said the Cowboys better get Dak signed before Mahomes and Watson get signed or his price goes up. And I said to him, and I'll say to you, that's like me saying Fox better get me signed before they extend Cowherd or my price is going up. Some self-awareness necessary, folks. We might play the same sport, but we're not in the same neighborhood. And so, yes, Dak's better than all the guys beneath him on this following tier, which is serviceable. Guys, that if they're your quarterback, you're okay, but you're probably in the market. Now, the Rams did the worst thing you possibly can do. They paid a guy in the serviceable tier like he's in the superstar tier. The Niners paid a guy in the serviceable tier like he's in the franchise quarterback tier. The rest of the team's strong enough to get away with it. Tannehill, I think it's a mistake the Titans just made that they're about to pay the price for. Bridgewater and Carr's contracts are reasonable. And then there's, by the way, I didn't forget the old and the young guys. I put them all in a tier by themselves. Don't know how to rank them. What do we do with Kyler? What do we do with Tom Brady at this point? So that's the old and the young tier that's at the bottom. So they're not forgotten about. But these are the guys that moving forward we know enough about to rank. And so Dak has painted himself a bit into a corner. And if the Cowboys want to get themselves out of that corner, if the Cowboys wanted, to me, give themselves a chance to have Dak sit back at the table, because neither one of these, neither the Cowboys nor Dak, really want to play the franchise tag game. The Cowboys don't because you could lose him, and Dak doesn't because football's a violent game, and $30 million this year is nice, but $110 million guaranteed is obviously far, far better. But right now the Cowboys have no leverage. Signing Jameis Winston might give them a piece of that leverage to remind Dak, we got no problem paying you like you're Carson Wentz or Kirk Cousins. But we're not paying you like you're Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, and we're sure as hell not paying you like you're Patrick Mahomes. Speaking of money being spent, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs were in headlines this week because some folks said they had zero cap dollars. Some folks said they had 177, not thousand, but total dollars, and that they were totally up against the cap. And they opened up some cap space today by restructuring Sammy Watkins' deal, not cutting him, but getting him to take a pay cut. He got no trade clause, so the Chiefs are bringing everybody back. And so, to me, though, the more interesting story, unless you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and let's be honest, who knows a Kansas City Chiefs fan, is the two different approaches that certain teams have taken in what should be their Super Bowl window. If we can show the most cap dollars and the least cap dollars, you will see a great example of teams that get it and teams that don't get it. Look at those teams with the most cap dollars. What do the Browns, Texans, and Jets all have in common? They all have quarterbacks on rookie contracts. They all, in theory, should be trying to contend right now, and they all are asking their rookie quarterbacks or their quarterbacks on rookie contracts to win with a lesser cast around them. I still don't know who Sam Darnold's receivers are. The best receiver he had was Robbie Anderson. He left. I don't know what they're doing there. The Texans, under the brilliant leadership of Bill O'Brien, traded away a receiver we all knew in Deshaun Watson and are trying to make him win with less. And the Browns surrounded Baker with a lot of shiny toys, not so many great big people. They're saying, hey, go try to win with less. If any of those teams eventually get close to contention, guess what's going to happen immediately? You're going to have to pay your quarterback and you're going to have to start paring the team away. On the other hand, look at the right-hand side of the column. The Chiefs, they gave Mahomes all the weapons imaginable, and they got a Super Bowl because of it. The Rams gave Jared Goff all the weapons available, and Goff's not even that good, and they came this close to winning a Super Bowl. The Bears, to their credit, tried to do this with Trubisky. Oh, we got Trubisky? Let's trade for Khalil Mack. Let's bring in Allen Robinson. Let's spend. This is our window. Now, what screwed them is their quarterback's no good. But if you've got a quarterback who you believe in, you must take advantage of this window. It's why what's happening to Deshaun Watson is criminal. It's why if more people cared about the Jets, we would talk about who have they surrounded Sam Darnold with. And it's why in Cleveland, while everyone blames Baker and Odell's fancy watch, they hired a running backs coach as a head coach, and they've got all this money that is just stacking up interest instead of supplying Baker with the quality 52 around him. And because of that, all those teams, they have a defined ceiling. Even if it's the playoffs, it's a defined ceiling. The Chiefs went for it and cashed in with the championship. The Rams went for it and came this close. The Bears went for it and just happened to get the wrong quarterback, and now they're probably in no man's land. But people are so afraid of being the Bears, going for it and having it not pan out, that they relegate themselves to being the Jets, a team that, hey, could be interesting. There's 7 playoff teams now. Could they be the wild card? If you believe in your quarterback enough to spend a top 10 pick on him, or as the Jets did, a top 5 pick, as the Browns did, the number 1 overall pick, the Texans traded 2 first-round picks for Deshaun, then you've got to believe in him enough to say we can win right now. It's, by the way, what the Cardinals, I think, are in the process of doing. We believe in Kyler. Let's trade for DeAndre Hopkins, and let's try to go win right now. That is the new NFL. That is the smart NFL, and the defending champion Chiefs leading the way, giving you an example, just like the Seattle Seahawks did with Russell Wilson, spending all that money when he was on his rookie deal. If you're going to win, try to do it immediately and give your young star quarterback the requisite tools to do it. One of the funniest offensive linemen in NFL history, Mark Schlereth, joins us next on The Herd.